Tokyo Spoof Agents. KGB laid off and re-employed. Introduction. Tokyo, 2002. Detective agencies. Funny pranks. Multiple female leads. The collapse of the Soviet Union, all KGB graduates from Tokyo Station, providing talent for Tokyo society. Tokyo, a vibrant and bustling land of all things, was filled with talented people for a while. This is Yuri Psychiatric Clinic with 0 negative reviews. What skills do you have? Chapter 1. Beijing successful bid for the Olympics. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. In the autumn of 1990, the intensive care unit of the Soviet Far East First Army Hospital, Comrade Ivan, please hold on, victory is right in front of you. Comrade Ivan, the Soviet Union in the 21st century still needs talents like you. For the sake of our motherland, please persevere. Ivan, pseudonym Igawa Wanping, is an elite agent at the Tokyo station of the KGB First Bureau. A month ago, Ivan was humming a song in his convertible when suddenly a bullet of unknown origin hit him, opening a hole in his forehead. So Ivan has been unconscious ever since. Ivan's comatose state is extremely rare in medicine. Ivan, who had lost consciousness, had no perception of the outside world, but his consciousness existed clearly and completely in a virtual world, as if he were having a lucid dream. Ivan tirelessly reviews various foreign languages and cultures, exercises combat skills, and researches intelligence engineering technology in the virtual world of lucid dreams, for 10 years like a day. What he did was to constantly hone himself and one day, as a KGB agent, continue to serve the Soviet motherland. In the summer of 2002, Tokyo Metropolitan General Hospital, intensive care unit in the early morning ward, the gentle light seeping through the window creates a warm and peaceful atmosphere throughout the entire ward. Ivan, you're awake. Yi Yangka remained calm and turned his back to Ivan, who had been sleeping in the hospital bed for 12 years. He looked out the window at the Tokyo Tower and the city skyline, which was lined with steel and concrete. Yi Yangka, pseudonym Yi Shanyanji, is a stern senior with a scruffy beard. Ivan was a teacher at the KGB back then. Yi Yangka, like Ivan, has an East Asian face, which was one of the reasons why the KGB sent them to Tokyo back then. After waking up, Ivan looked bewildered and at a loss. What year it is now has the Soviet Union now achieved manned lunar landing? Comrade Yangka. Ivan was about to ask something. I have good news and bad news, which one do you want to hear? Yangka interrupted Ivan. Good news, Ivan hesitated. The good news is that the CIA and Japanese public security no longer pose a threat to us, Yangka said calmly. Upon hearing this, Ivan was overjoyed. It must have been the success of the Soviet Union's cause that made the American and Japanese colleagues retreat in fear of difficulties. Seeing Ivan beaming with joy, Yangka's face turned pale and he hesitated to speak. That. Ivan. You can find a factory to work for. After speaking, Yi Yangka sighed and shook his head before leaving the ward. At this time, Ivan, who had been practicing in his dream for many years, had become a master of American living in harmony. With a passionate heart, he could not wait to carry out the tasks entrusted to him by the Soviet motherland. Just what Senior Yi Yangka said about finding a factory to work. Ivan didn't quite understand. Moreover, the senior did not tell himself what the bad news was. For a moment, Ivan struggled to comprehend the intentions of his predecessor. Just as Ivan was pondering, pull up the mountain with force, and the aura is unparalleled. At the entrance of the ward, a powerful Chinese poem came from. Ivan on the hospital bed suddenly widened his pupils upon hearing the familiar sound. When the time is unfavorable, joy never dies. Ivan slowly looked up and looked at the familiar figure at the door of the ward in surprise, Da Vinci. Ivan trembled and reached out his slightly pale hand from his long stay on the sickbed, tightly clasping it with Da Vinci's warm hand. Through the vicissitudes of life, past events emerge one by one, with each other's mutual understanding and emotional understanding. Da Vinci, Ivan's solid comrade in arms, was hailed as the great inventor of the KGB, a technician with sparse hair and bright eyes under the frame. After a brief meeting, Da Vinci solemnly spoke, "I heard from I that you woke up, and I brought you my latest invention. I believe I can help you." Subsequently, with a serious expression, Da Vinci pulled out his invention from behind, a wheelchair. Wheelchair. Ivan was surprised. Ivan thought about it and found that he had been lying in bed for many years with muscle atrophy, joint stiffness, and motor nerve dysfunction. Walking was indeed difficult and needed some time to recover. The wheelchair in front of me is just right and can serve as a transitional tool for recovery during this period. Wrong. This is not an ordinary wheelchair. It's a foot-operated wheelchair, Da Vinci explained solemnly. If you step on the pedal with your feet, the wheels of the wheelchair will turn, Da Vinci continued to explain. What if I push the wheels by hand? Ivan asked in response. Absolutely not, replied Da Vinci quickly. That doesn't seem to be very useful. Vinci, your invention is great. Don't invent it next time, Ivan comforted Vinci. And Da Vinci naturally saw Ivan's doubts about his invention, so he dismantled the wheelchair on the spot. Ivan just realized that the wheelchair had hidden secrets. It appears to be a wheelchair on the surface, but in fact, it is a combat mecha. The components of the wheelchair were reassembled along Ivan's limbs and joints, perfectly fitting Ivan's body. And Ivan transformed into a mecha warrior wheelchair person. The wheelchair is equipped with a jet engine, and the armrest of the wheelchair hides 7.62 mm Soviet-style rifled weapons. The wheelchair's electro-hydraulic system, mechanical framework, and precise transmission shaft device provide Ivan with flexible mobility. Most importantly, this wheelchair mech can disguise itself as a harmless wheelchair for humans and animals anytime, anywhere, bypassing various security checks and entering important occasions. Well, this is good, Ivan agreed, and the experience was decent. By the way, how is Comrade Gorbachev's reform going? Ivan remembered something and asked Da Vinci. In Chapter 2, Ivan starved to death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Comrade Da Vinci. If you're joking, please stop it. Angry Ivan grabbed Da Vinci's collar. Even before Ivan fell into a coma 12 years ago, various Soviet jokes had already been circulating among the people of the Soviet Union. Ivan never expected that by the time he woke up, Soviet jokes had already developed to such an outrageous extent. Oh, don't be so excited. You let me down first, advised Da Vinci. Due to being equipped with a wheelchair mech, Ivan easily lifted Da Vinci over his head just now. After persuading Da Vinci, Ivan reluctantly let him down. Then, Da Vinci took out his Sony laptop that he carried with him and played videos of historical events such as Gorbachev's speech and the Soviet flag falling from the Kremlin to Ivan. Da Vinci noticed Ivan's lost expression and asked with concern. At this moment, Ivan stared silently at the historical images on the screen, his eyes empty, and tears inadvertently slipped from the corners of his eyes. But immediately, Ivan's eyes became sharp. Hey. Calm down. Cough, cough. Da Vinci's neck was about to break. Ivan, who was just in grief, thought for a moment that it was Da Vinci who was behind it, so he angrily grabbed Da Vinci's neck. How the hell do you want me to calm down? Say. Who ordered you to do this? What's your purpose? Ivan, in a rage, forced Da Vinci. If you go to Akasaka 1.com in the Tokyo port area, you'll know. The flag in front of the Soviet embassy has been changed to that of Tsarist Russia. Version changes are common in the world. You have to take a look. Da Vinci chattered on and on, explaining. After Wensi finished speaking, Ivan closed his eyes and calmed down, trying to calm himself down. Sigh, what face do I have now? Facing my comrades at Tokyo Station. After a moment of calmness, Ivan let out a sigh. You can rest assured that everyone at Tokyo Station is doing better and better now. I work in research and development at Sony, and Senior Yi Yanka opened a law firm. Da Vinci gently comforted Ivan. Enough. Ivan rudely interrupted Da Vinci. Even if I starved to death, I would never eat anything from a capitalist. Wensi, what job do you think I'm looking for right now? Ivan solemnly asked for Da Vinci's opinion. After a painful presentation by Da Vinci just now, Ivan felt that continuing like this was not a solution. It was better to find a factory to work first and solve the livelihood problem. Due to the loss of a large amount of information within the KGB after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, his true identity as Ivan has become a black hole in Russia, and now he can only rely on his identity as a Japanese citizen. Due to the sudden loss of faith, Ivan can only make getting married and starting a career his current goal of struggle. The current problem is that I, as a disabled party member from the old era, cannot find suitable jobs in the new era. Actually, Ivan is good at killing people, but it seems that the positions in the job market are not very suitable. Recently, China, the world's sixth largest economy, joined the World Trade Organization and has frequent bilateral foreign trade exchanges with Japan. You are also proficient in Chinese and Japanese, why not come to our Sony as a translator? I can help you promote it internally. Da Vinci suggested. No, my Japanese passport is forged. If I were to be a translator, I would reveal the truth when I go abroad one day. Ivan refused. Do you have any other strengths? I asked Da Vinci. I'm good at interrogating prisoners, Ivan hesitated. Then this job is perfect for you. Da Vinci exclaimed in surprise. After speaking, Da Vinci dug up a job posting on his Nokia 7650 smartphone. Position: Psychological Counselor, Work Location: 16th floor, Mitsui Building, Higashinbashi, Tokyo Metropolitan Area, walking 50 meters east from Suraiu Station on the subway. Requirements: Work experience/education/certificate/. Do you think my work experience at Lubyanka back then could be considered as related to psychological counseling? Ivan felt a bit uncertain. Almost. It's all about finding ways to make customers confess themselves, and it's all about making them pay their hearts and lungs, Da Vinci analyzed. Ivan thinks back to the time when he was doing psychological counseling in Lubyanka. He was indeed very dedicated to his clients. Well, it's reasonable. Now Ivan has confidence in his heart. In Da Vinci's subsequent introduction, Ivan learned that this psychological clinic specializes in neuroscience-empowered psychotherapy. Dr. Yuri, the director of the clinic, is a former colleague of the KGB and can be considered one of his own. Soviet people do not deceive Soviet people. Ivan also added Dr. Yuri's contact information to the KGB Tokyo job search group. Dr. Yuri and Ivan arranged an interview and expressed their appreciation for Ivan. If nothing unexpected happens, I will be able to secure tomorrow's interview smoothly. The next morning, Yuri Psychiatric Clinic, director's office. The bustling city streets and the distant Tokyo Bay are reflected through the windows, and the warm morning light slowly fills the entire space. A spacious office desk is tidy and orderly, and a computer equipped with a LCD screen and Intel Pentium flagship processor is waiting to turn on at zhaozuiyuan.com. A steaming Soviet-style sauce-flavored latte is placed on the guest coffee table, and a drop of pure vodka blends with Brazilian coffee beans, emitting a rich aroma. Previously, Dr. Yuri instructed Ivan to wait in the office for a while through a text message, and he will arrive later. At this moment, Ivan's bored gaze swept over the shelf next to the office, which displayed the collection of the clinic. Most of them are animal brains soaked in formalin solution. Mouse brain, monkey brain, sheep brain, dolphin brain, and human brain. The sudden appearance of a human brain on the shelf really startled Ivan. Don't make a big fuss, that's my brain. I've been sitting for a long time lately and my neck feels a bit sore. It's convenient to take out my brain to treat my neck. Dr. Yuri entered the door and explained to Ivan sitting on the sofa. Ivan only then discovered that the human brain was connected to the pig heart pump circulatory system below, with various nerves connected to the periphery, transmitting signals through wireless sensors to control Dr. Yuri's body. It's really confusing. Perhaps it was just Dr. Yuri's prank, maybe Dr. Yuri's brain was still stuck in his head. Just as Ivan was thinking this, Dr. Yuri's head, who was sitting in the office chair, fell off. The head fell along the Louis XVI line around the neck, and the ruptured carotid artery sprayed blood vertically upwards like a fountain, nourishing the ceiling. Ivan immediately couldn't sit still and reflexively got up and ran back. The real Nemaha people, the KGB really doesn't raise idle people at the same time. A speaker in the room made a sound. Chapter 3. The Boss is Strange. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Igor Wanping, I'm Yuri. My head hasn't been sewn properly. Could you please sew it along the Louis XVI line and stop the bleeding in the carotid artery? As for the trachea and cervical spine, you can handle it yourself. At the same time, Dr. Yuri's head, which had fallen to the ground, was staring at Ivan with indifferent eyes, making Ivan's hair stand on end. After a while, the trembling Ivan finally sewed Dr. Yuri's head and stopped the blood flow in the carotid artery. At this moment, Ivan is using low-concentration hydrochloric acid to wipe off the bloodstains on the ceiling to prevent detection by luminol reagent. You don't need to be so professional, it's not about killing people to silence. Dr. Yuri, whose vocal cords were barely audible, watched Ivan's confusing behavior and opened his mouth. Sorry, occupational disease has occurred. Ivan apologized and stopped his work, awkwardly rubbing his hands. When Ivan returned to the guest sofa, Dr. Yuri kept adjusting his head. After just this incident, Ivan felt that something was wrong with the Yuri clinic. So Ivan used his spy talent that he had developed over the years to unconsciously search for this clinic on Jihu, using the Nokia smartphone given to him by Da Vinci. Jihu anonymous user thank you for the invitation, it's related to interests. I'm at the Yuri clinic and just got off the plane. I'm afraid my colleagues will recognize me, so I won't be able to say more and went into hiding. Jihu anonymous user I understand everything I know, and if I don't understand, I won't understand either. Don't ask, the interests involved are too great. Saying something is not good for you. I can only say that the water is deep, and all the information online has been deleted. After reading these pieces of information online, Ivan believes that the Yuri clinic is not simple. I can only blame myself for trusting the former colleagues of the KGB without conducting a detailed investigation beforehand. Jihu anonymous user it is said that many celebrities in Tokyo's business and political circles have consulted at the Yuri Psychiatric Clinic, with top-notch customer resources. Jihu anonymous user Yuri Psychiatric Clinic, a great company, with 0 negative reviews after leaving. Soviets don't deceive Soviets. And seeing these 2 answers on Jihu, Ivan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Especially when Ivan saw the 3 words 0 negative review, his hanging heart finally let go. Just talk about how fellow villagers would pit them. Ivan decided to prepare well for the upcoming interview. As long as I successfully join the company, I believe my future will be bright. At this moment, Dr. Yuri, who had adjusted his head, spoke. Iha Wanping, your work experience at Rubianka may have a slight difference from our business. Specifically, Rubianka places more emphasis on customers' verbal feedback, while we place more emphasis on customers' actual experiences. Our clients here are diverse, including members of parliament, elites from corporations, gang management, and celebrity idols. Overall, the market ecosystem and underlying logic are evolving and changing, and your methodology at the KGB also requires sustainability iteration. So, I suggest that you position your own differentiated track, iterate traditional gameplay, and use the unique KGB work experience to accurately empower vertical fields, dig deep into industry barriers, and cultivate a set of reusable combination punches. Listening to Dr. Yuri's lengthy speech, Ivan nodded repeatedly and respectfully took notes. Listening to your words is like listening to your words. However, when Ivan heard what Senior Yuri said about combination boxing, he felt that this job was not much different from Rubianka. After all, he was also a combination boxing. Cough, I just got off topic. So let's get back to the point and start our interview. Dr. Yuri moistened his throat and brought the topic back on track. I have reviewed your resume. It doesn't seem very relevant, at least it's completely unrelated. Moreover, you don't have any relevant certificates or degrees. Dr. Yuri poured a basin of cold water directly on Ivan's head, his face grim. Faced with this head-on blow, Ivan was also confused. Just now, Yuri was still preaching earnestly. Why do you demote yourself to nothing now? But next, Dr. Yuri changed his tone. However, I am willing to make an exception and give IGA June a good evaluation in the graduation evaluation column at Andropov Red Flag College. You are an alumnus of the Red Flag Academy, Mr. Pu. He just became the president of the Russian Federation the year before last. I believe that as long as Iha June works hard, his future is limitless. I have high hopes for Lord IGA. Dr. Yuri continued to show a fatherly smile. Zhaoshuyuan.com first, it's workplace PUA, then it's drawing big cakes. Isn't he an unscrupulous boss? Ivan secretly said something was wrong. In the following interview time, Dr. Yuri hardly asked any serious questions, just chatted a few times before asking Ivan to handle the onboarding procedures. Ivan, who easily won the offer, naturally cleared his doubts. The working environment here is good, with computers and colleagues who are also cultured. Boss Yuri also told Ivan that he could treat the company as a family. Now Ivan felt that he had wrongly blamed the boss before, and that the boss was a good person to blame. At present, the only minor flaw in this job is the lack of salary. Boss Yuri explained that due to the company's recent structural adjustments, the salaries of new employees may be delayed. After the structural adjustment of the company is completed, the salary will still be paid. And in this regard, Ivan immediately expressed his understanding of the difficulties encountered by the company. Ivan also stated that he will work hard to repay the boss's kindness. After a while, Ivan, who had completed the onboarding procedures, found his own workstation, packed everything up, and was ready to prepare for the next job. Ivan's workstation is an independent office, but the space is very small, just like an independent graduate school. As Ivan was standing at the door contemplating, several renovation workers passed by and replaced the nameplate, mail mail mail, on Ivan's office door with, Consultant Ivan Wanping. Well. This used to be the toilet. Just as Ivan was about to say something about it, a gentle female voice rang out not far away. Excuse me, is this Mr. IGA? I am Suzuki Dongya, Suzuki, who previously made an online appointment. Chapter 4. Me, Xunzong, make money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, what winter ya? Dongnia, I am Ukrainian mixed race. Dongnia's smile was like a flower, and her pure and flawless eyes gently gazed at Ivan. Suzuki Dongnia has a graceful and slender figure, a delicate and fair face, with a high nose bridge and deep blue eyes brought by Caucasian ancestry, as well as soft lines of facial contours brought by Eastern ancestry. From this perspective, Dongya Suzuki and herself in front of her can be considered half of a fellow villager. After all, Russia and Ukraine are a family. Ivan, with the keen observation brought by his years of espionage, identified Dongya as an INFP personality at a glance. Innocent, silly, sweet, easily trusting, like an inexperienced princess. Please take a seat. Ivan took Dunya into his office and kindly gestured for her to take a seat. Ms. Suzuki, have you encountered any difficulties recently? Ivan spoke in an authentic Tokyo dialect. Excuse me. Does Mr. IGA believe in time travel? Suzuki Donya hesitated and spoke. As a staunch materialist warrior, Ivan naturally does not believe in the phenomenon of non-conservation of quality in energy in crossing. However, as a psychological counselor, Ivan did not express his views to the guests. Ivan signaled Suzuki Donya to continue speaking with a confident and professional gaze. Well, it's like this. A month ago, I received a text message stating that the other party claimed to be a traveler from the former Soviet Union. The other party claims to be Brezhnev and now needs to transfer 500,000 yen. They will take a time machine back to the Soviet Union, and once the matter is resolved. Dong-Nia recounted her experience in detail. Ah. This is clearly a scam. Speaking of which, did this woman find the wrong place? This is a legitimate psychological clinic, not a detective agency. However, in the spirit of professionalism, Ivan still decided to continue helping Dong-Nia. Does Ms. Suzuki want to recover this money? Ivan asked gentlemanly. No, it's not. So far, I haven't received any news from Mr. Brezhnev. I'm worried that Mr. Brezhnev might encounter some accidents during his journey. Dong-Nia finished speaking slowly, but Ivan was momentarily speechless and didn't know where to start. Originally, this woman has not yet realized that she was deceived. Is she a bit too silly and sweet? But speaking of which, what is Dong-Nia's demand for coming here? Ivan doesn't quite understand. Just as Ivan was pondering, I hope Mr. IGA can help me confirm Mr. Brezhnev's whereabouts and help him return to the Soviet Union, Suzuki Dong-Nia solemnly pleaded, with a serious face and innocent and clear eyes. Upon hearing this, Ivan almost choked while drinking water from a thermos. Well, as far as I know, I seem to be a psychological counselor. Ivan wanted to confirm if Dong-Nia had found the wrong person, as she seemed to need a private detective more. But as Dong-Nia spoke, she rummaged through her bag and found an advertising flyer that exaggeratedly printed. IGA Wanping. The strongest spiritual exploration on the surface. What kind of ghost is this? Ivan's big head photo is printed on the advertising flyer, with a volcanic eruption in the background, exaggerated and eye-catching font effects, and a stunning second impression. IGA slowly closed his eyes, trying to understand the current situation. 1. The clinic's advertisement exaggeratedly compares Ivan to a mind detective for promotional purposes. 2. And naive Dong-Nia looked at the advertisement and thought Ivan was a private detective, so Dong-Nia wants to entrust Ivan to search for the time-traveling Brezhnev. However, although this is still my first business. For the trust of the client, that's right, I am Detective IGA. Tokyo Racecourse, Shenyang Cup Horse Racing Competition, your horse is gone, RNM. Refund. The crowd of spectators shuttled around the green racecourse, exchanging enthusiastic views on horses and bets with each other. Previously, Ivan used money as a bait to get in touch with the fraudster who claimed to be Xunzong through text messages. Later, with the assistance of Da Vinci, the SMS base station route was intercepted through a loophole in the Japanese SoftBank operator, and it was located near Nishicho, Nakashi City, Tokyo Prefecture. Finally, it was locked onto the Tokyo racecourse. Ivan inferred that the fraudster probably used the money he had obtained from Dunya to bet on horses, and now he probably has lost all of it. It's easy to get money like this. Ms. Suzuki, please continue to use SMS to contact the other party and say meaningless things, Ivan commanded Suzuki Dong-Nia calmly at the Shenyang Cup viewing scene. The scene of the competition was filled with greasy old men, and Dong-Nia, who was as beautiful as a flower, looked out of place here. Due to the association between the fraudster claiming to be of Su Xunzong and the Ukrainian mixed race of Dong-Nia, Ivan suspected that they were acquaintances, so he brought Dong-Nia to the scene for identification. While Dunya followed Ivan's instructions to send a text message, Ivan turned on the intracranial radar and searched for the person who received the message at the scene to locate the fraudster. Ding dong. A crisp mobile phone bell rang, and unfortunately, it came from a Mediterranean uncle next to Ivan and Dunya at zhaozuiyuan.com. For a moment, Uncle and Ivan looked at each other and fell into a brief silence. Uncle Meichuan, I didn't expect to see you here. Dong Nia warmly said to her uncle. The uncle's expression was slightly nervous and awkward, as Zhang Huang looked at Ivan and Dong Nia. Suddenly, Ivan's gaze became sharp. Ms. Suzuki, Mr. Meichuan has already admitted that he is Brezhnev. After a while, Ivan returned to the competition venue with a disheveled Meichuan, who looked disheveled. Ah, Uncle Meichuan, it seems like you're injured, said Donya Suzuki with concern. I accidentally fell just now. Uncle Meichuan awkwardly squeezed out a smile and scratched his head. Later, with Ivan's enthusiastic help, the uncle said he remembered everything. Uncle sincerely apologized to Dong Nia, confessed his fraud, and stated that the money he had cheated had already been lost on the racetrack. And in this regard, Dong Nia said it's not a big deal, as long as everyone is safe and sound. Although Dong Nia was scammed 500,000 yen, she won another 500,000 yen in the end due to the correct order of the horse betting she placed on the ticket. It seems that girls who love to laugh will not have too bad luck. Yuri Psychiatric Clinic, Director's Office, Dr. Yuri, just now the butler of the Suzuki family called. In gratitude for Mr. IGA's help to the Suzuki family's second daughter, the Suzuki family is preparing to provide a remuneration for this clinic. Do we need to distribute a portion of the remuneration to Mr. IGA? Let's draw a 30% commission and give the rest as the year-end bonus to him. Don't tell him about this yet. Chapter 5. Miss Suzuki's Personal Bodyguard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. The next morning, Yuri Psychiatry Clinic, Ivan's office. Just as Ivan was sitting comfortably in the office, drinking hot milk from a thermos, several renovation workers passed by the door of Ivan's office again. Amidst Ivan's puzzled gaze, several renovation workers replaced the plaque on Ivan's office door with, Consultant IGA Wanping, and replaced it with, Private Detective IGA Wanping, before leaving directly. Nanny. Just as Ivan was shocked, a graceful young woman walked into Ivan's office. Hello Mr. IGA, I am Dr. Yuri's secretary, Akira Aoki. Miss Aoki is fair-skinned and beautiful, wearing a workplace women's white shirt, a hip wrap skirt, and black silk high heels that outline her perfect and suffocating figure curve. Although Miss Aoki is charming, Ivan's heart is calm at this moment. Ivan has received the KGB's SAGE training, and can effectively control his sexual impulses, maintaining a rational and sober state anytime and anywhere, achieving a state of sitting still and not feeling restless. If Ivan were to activate the advanced SAGE state, he could even achieve the level of treating Miss Aoki and Ivan's grandmother equally. Hello Miss Aoki, please take a seat, Ivan responded politely. Aoki Akira sat elegantly, shaking off her hair on her shoulders, calmly and confidently, smiling brightly at Ivan. By the way, psychotherapy is only our talk business, while our TOB business is biomedical devices with strong financial background. Ivan thought to himself that the 21st century is the century of biology, nodding repeatedly. Due to the recent emergence of new trends in the industry, our firm has decided to expand the talk field and add new detective services. Dr. Yuri highly values Mr. IGA, and coupled with his detective experience yesterday, Dr. Yuri has decided to entrust this important business to Mr. IGA. Aoki Akira spoke in a gentle tone and assigned the detective business to Ivan. Please rest assured that I will not betray Dr. Yuri's trust, Ivan said solemnly. Ivan is very grateful to Dr. Yuri for giving him a job opportunity. It would be even better if we could get another salary. Well, I'll leave first. Feel free to contact me if you need anything. Akira Aoki narrowed her eyes and smiled before getting up and leaving. Okay. Miss Aoki, take your time. After gentlemanly bidding farewell to Aoki Akira, Ivan leaned back on his office chair and closed his eyes to concentrate. Ivan is preparing to make a plan for his career. Ivan, who has been waking up from the hospital bed for 2 days now, has almost recovered all his bodily functions and has rid himself of his dependence on the previous wheelchair mech. At this moment, Ivan can be said to have taken on human form. And the 18 martial arts that Ivan learned in his dream of being unconscious for 10 years were also activated with the recovery of his physical functions. My current combat effectiveness is extremely high, so being a detective is undoubtedly more suitable for me than a purely psychological counselor. From this perspective, I have taken a big step forward in my career today. Ambitious Ivan took out a diary to record his career achievements today and expressed his sincere gratitude to his boss Yuri. It seems that as long as one works hard and helps the boss earn money in the future, the boss will have money to pay oneself. Just as Ivan was using Leningrad's as I was writing my diary with a pen, the voice of a middle-aged and elderly man came from the office door. "Hello, Mr. Igawa Wanping, I am Masao Suzuki." There stood an old man in a dark brown suit at the door. His hair was slightly grayish, neatly cut, and his face showed traces of time. His eyes were deep, and his smile was friendly. "Suzuki. This is Ms. Dongnia's surname. Such a coincidence may be related to this person's intentions and Dongnia." Ivan speculated so. "Please take a seat." Ivan kindly gestured and brewed a cup of black tea for the guest, Masao Suzuki. After taking his seat and making some adjustments, Masao Suzuki slowly spoke, "I am the butler of the Suzuki family. Mr. Iga's client yesterday, Miss Dongnia, was the illegitimate daughter of the Suzuki family. As expected, Ms. Dongnia's carefree personality should have come from her own family, which is consistent with Ivan's speculation yesterday. Now the head of the Suzuki family is critically ill. Before he regained consciousness, he once instructed the old master to protect Miss Dongnia. The Suzuki family's wife and other children are eyeing Miss Dunya with suspicion. A few years ago, Miss Dunya's biological mother was mysteriously murdered, so I hope to entrust Mr. Iga to protect Miss Dongnia before the execution of the Suzuki family's will, in order to prevent her from being brutally attacked by other members of the Suzuki family." Suzuki Masao earnestly explained his commission to Ivan. Upon hearing this, Ivan also had a solemn expression on his face. "I didn't expect Miss Dongnia, who was innocent, to find her family in such a dangerous situation. But as far as I know, I seem to be a private detective." Ivan wanted to confirm whether Suzuki Butler had found the wrong person. After all, he was a private detective, and Suzuki Butler seemed to need a professional bodyguard more. "Well, I know that. But I also believe that with Mr. Iga's work experience at the KGB, he can handle Miss Dongnia's security work," said Masao Suzuki solemnly. "Wipe. How did old Deng know that I was from the KGB? Don't be deceiving me." Ivan secretly said something was wrong. "What's the weight?" Ivan solemnly pretended to be garlic. The news that Ivan is a KGB agent is unknown to both the US CIA and Japanese public security through Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Ivana breathed a sigh of relief. Ivan finished packing garlic, and then the Suzuki Butler rummaged through his briefcase and found an advertising flyer that exaggeratedly printed, "I blanch. Grandpa, I have been hiding my spy identity for so many years, but I was actually betrayed by an advertisement in a clinic." Just like yesterday, the advertising flyer still features Ivan's big head photo, the background is still a volcanic eruption, the font effects are also exaggerated and eye-catching, and the second sense is explosive. Seeing this silly advertisement, Ivan almost stood up directly from the chair. "This is too messy. The clinic's exaggerated promotion is all. But to put it bluntly, I do have combat power comparable to that of a spy." Ivan calmly made a comeback. "The commission to protect Miss Dongnia." Suzuki Butler looked at Ivan and hesitated. "Leave it to me." Ivan folded his hands on his desk, confident and professional. Madam, Yukiko Suzuki. Eldest daughter, Makoto Suzuki. Second daughter, Donya Suzuki. Eldest son, Ichiro Suzuki. Second son, Ero Suzuki. Sanko, Mitsuro Suzuki. Well, your family's names are quite memorable. Ivan flipped through the Suzuki family information handed to him by the Suzuki butler and praised him. Immediately after, Ivan flipped through the information and found a very familiar face. Suzuki butler saw Ivan's days and explained. This is Mrs. Kiko's lawyer. Chapter 6. Yangjian Cuisine. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 7. I don't eat coriander. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, do you have any taboos, sir? The waiter asked politely. Haha, that's not true, it's just out of curiosity, Ivan replied calmly. What is a side dish specifically may depend on the mood of our chef, the waiter explained. That is to say, I don't know what will be brought up later. However, our chef Mr. Hannibal, known as the Fairy of Hell's Cuisine, can rest assured of his skills, the waiter continued to explain. Hannibal. What is the Madman's Diary themed restaurant? How impressive! Donya exclaimed. Seeing Donya's expectant gaze, Ivan couldn't bear to dampen her interest and had to accept this free side dish. Mr. IGA. Just as Donya was about to ask something again. Miss Donya, our names as lovers are too unfamiliar to be noticed by the others in the Suzuki family, Ivan interrupted Donya. Obviously, the terms Miss Donya and Mr. IGA, used between couples appear too respectful and distant. Then I'll call Mr. IGA. Donya thought. Wan, how are you? Donya asked naively. It's not impossible either, Ivan reluctantly agreed to this title. Ivan felt forced not because of embarrassment, but because this is how Ivan's grandmother called him. So I'll call you Nini. Ivan asked Donya for her opinion. Sure, Donya readily agreed. While the two were discussing nicknames, the waiter at the restaurant brought up the free side dish made by the master. 2 cups of exquisite stinky tofu ice cream. This dish is called stinky tofu ice cream. The waiter explained to them. Ivan looked carefully at the stinky tofu ice cream in front of him. Fermented bean curd, garlic, coriander and pepper. Milk ice cream. Is this thing really edible? Fermented bean curd has been fermented for 7 to 40.9 days, the ice cream is made of pure milk instead of cream, with less air content, and the taste is fine and smooth. The master made the taste himself, and fermented bean curd hit the milk, which is totally natural. The waiter further explained. Wow, that's amazing. Donya felt surprised. Ah. It seems a bit smelly, hasn't it been left for too long? Ivan sniffed the smell and became suspicious. This is a normal phenomenon. It smells bad and tastes good, the waiter explained. Subsequently, Ivan began to taste the ice cream with suspicion. With the soft taste of ice cream and stinky tofu exploding in the mouth, it's really so delicious. The strong fragrance of stinky tofu does not dominate the audience, but appropriately spreads in the mouth. Its wonderful odor softened a lot in the cool milky aroma of ice cream. The texture of ice cream is mellow and the taste is silky. The flavor of stinky tofu can dance on the tongue. The delicate taste of ice cream blends with the rich taste of stinky tofu. Ice cream is mixed with tiny pieces of stinky tofu, making the taste experience more three-dimensional. The aftertaste left on the tongue is not only the refreshing of ice cream, but also the profound level of stinky tofu. Melting on the tip of my tongue, it feels like a spring breeze brushing over Lake Baikal, or like autumn rain soaking the Volga River. Warm memories emerge, reminiscing about the unforgettable feeling of eating ice cream for the first time when I was a child. Long-lost emotions surge into my heart, and tears fill my eyes in an instant. Wan, how's it? Is it delicious? Dong-Nia looked curious as Ivan closed her eyes and savored the taste of ice cream. Cough, it's okay, isn't it? Ivan came to his senses and commented. Wow. Enjoy it. Dong-Nia picked up another glass of ice cream to taste and gave it a high rating. Ivan, on the other hand, was deeply troubled by the enjoyment of the taste buds just now. After all, I am entrusted to protect Miss Dong-Nia, and if this continues, it will become a date. Cough, that. Nini, Ivan said solemnly, as if preparing to say something. What's wrong? 10,000. Dong-Nia's clear and innocent eyes stared at Ivan. Ivan remembered the previous incident of Dunya being scammed by text messages and felt it was necessary to improve Dunya's self-protection awareness. Nini actually has doubts about time travel, so why would Nini believe others call themselves Brezhnev? Ivan asked. Dong-Nia leaned her cheeks and pondered for a moment. Although I can't be sure if it's true or false, if Mr. Brezhnev really travels and then he can't go back to the Soviet Union because I didn't transfer money, I would regret it. Dong-Nia looked serious and pouted. Well, it seems that Dong-Nia is actually cautious, but her behavior is dominated by her kindness. So Ivan took out his Nokia Slide smartphone and showed Dunya an application on the phone. Nini, this is an anti-fraud app developed by my friend Wensi, Ivan explained. Wow, that's amazing, Dong-Nia exclaimed. I'll send you the download link for this app. Ivan skillfully used the proprietary terminology of this era. What is this application? Yuan. God. Dong-Nia looked at Ivan's screen with a curious expression. Ah, ha. This is a bow and arrow game with a Three Kingdoms background. The protagonist's name is Yuan Shao, so he is called Yuan Shen. Ivan responded awkwardly. Oh. Dong-Nia said she knew. In fact, this Yuan Shen was not downloaded voluntarily by Ivan. Ivan, who woke up from the Soviet era, knew nothing about smartphones. Yesterday, when Ivan was tinkering with smartphones, he clicked on a web page and inexplicably downloaded and installed an application. By the way, does Nini have any impression of lawyer Yi Shanyanji? Ivan asked Dong-Nia. According to the Suzuki butler, Mrs. Suzuki and the Suzuki parents have the greatest hostility towards Dunya. So these two are also Ivan's key defense targets. And Mrs. Suzuki's lawyer is her own teacher at the KGB, Yoichi Yama. It seems that the master and disciple stood opposite in the open and secret struggle of the Suzuki family this time. Mr. Yishan, he's quite nice, He just feels a bit cold, Dong-Nia stuttered. Ivan understood immediately upon hearing this. With Dong-Nia's kind personality, no matter who Ivan asked her to evaluate, she would always say, he's quite good. So the latter half of Dong-Nia's sentence just now is the key point. The second half of the sentence indicates that Yoichi Yama inherited the attitude of his employer, Mrs. Suzuki, towards Dong-Nia. In 10 years, Ivan did not know how much change Comrade Yanka had undergone. Perhaps he was no longer the steadfast predecessor of his ideals, and began to betray his beliefs and become selfish. Perhaps even he would follow the orders of his employer, kill Dunya in pain, and use his skills acquired during his years at the KGB to eliminate all evidence and traces. It seems that there is an inevitable showdown between myself and Senior Yi Yanka. Chapter 8. The Authentic Tokyo People of Bei'er. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, just finished lunch at Li Mei Barbecue. Ivan saw that there were still a lot of leftovers on the table and felt it was a pity to waste them, so he packed them and took them away. Ivan is staying at Da Vinci's house tonight, so he plans to take these leftovers back and share them with Da Vinci. But suddenly I remembered that Da Vinci's grandmother was Jewish, and the clean and unclean food I had for lunch today was mixed together. I don't know if his grandmother can eat it. For a moment, Ivan was carrying several bags of greasy food and didn't know what to do, which was out of place with the dignified and elegant Miss Dongnia beside him. At noon, on the way to Suzuki Mansion in a taxi, Wan, why are you packing all this food? Dongnia asked curiously. That. Take it back to eat with friends tonight, Ivan replied. Immediately, Dongnia pouted. Isn't it staying at my house at night? Dongnia asked with a hint of questioning in her tone. Now Ivan can't handle it anymore. Although theoretically speaking, as a close bodyguard, I should be inseparable from Miss Dongnia, but I live directly at the other person's house at night. Ivan is just a simple big boy in love. As early as when Ivan was still a young pioneer, she was rated as a friend of women by her female classmates. Not only because of his attractive appearance, which is highly favored by women, but also because he is very simple in love. Ivan has repeatedly disguised himself as a husband and wife with various beautiful agents to carry out missions, but every time he can return to Zhao intact. There's still a vacant spot on my bed, complained Dongnia. Nanny. I his mother. Ivan was shocked. The last woman who slept so close to Ivan was Ivan's grandmother. The driver, who was in the front seat of the two, had just looked in the rearview mirror left and right. Upon hearing their conversation, he immediately looked straight ahead with a straight line of sight. Don't worry, I won't do anything to you. Dongnia looked at Ivan with a serious and helpless face. Cough, I naturally know that, Ivan said calmly. Dongnia pursed her lips and remained noncommittal. Although Ivan can always maintain a wise state and remain calm, he still has some fear. After all, breaking free from the constraints of protected objects without harming them is a difficult task. Not long after, the taxi arrived at the Matsudo-cho Villa complex located in Setagaya-ku, Tokyo, which is also the location of the Suzuki family mansion. A total of 50,000 yen, said the taxi driver. Ivan. Chua, it's so expensive, why don't you just go grab it? Suzuki Dongnia, on the other hand, without hesitation, pulled out 50,000 yen in cash. Wait, why is the fare so expensive? Ivan questioned the driver and stopped Dongnia, who was preparing to pay. When I took a taxi in Suzhou, the mileage price was only a fraction of yours, Ivan continued to question. The driver heard that Ivan felt expensive and immediately prepared to start arguing confidently. Where is it expensive? For so many years, this price has been the same. Don't talk nonsense with your eyes open, it's difficult for Tokyo taxi drivers. Sometimes I look for my own reasons. After all these years of salary growth, have I been working hard? For the sake of the lady playing Yuan-shen, I also gave you a discount. The driver argued endlessly against Ivan. Damn it, I knew I wouldn't be a detective and took a taxi. Ivan cursed inwardly. Although reluctant, Ivan finally got off the car with Miss Dongnia in frustration. However, Ivan secretly recorded the license plate number and model of the taxi with his KGB level observation ability. At this moment, Ivan and Dongnia are walking towards the entrance of the Suzuki family mansion across the road. Wan, it's okay. I take a taxi to school and home every day, Dongnia comforted. Implicitly, this little money is just a sprinkle of water for Miss Dongnia. Now Ivan's heart aches even more. Dogs force Koreans, I'm fucking your mom. The whistle blows even darker than a horse riding force. Just as Ivan was doubting life, a strong and powerful voice came from the courtyard. What the hell? Where are the Koreans from? Ivan was puzzled. That's my brother, he's watching the World Cup, Dongnia explained as she saw Ivan's confusion. Ivan thought about it and realized that there has been some news recently about the World Cup between Korea and Japan. However, South Korea has already normalized diplomatic relations with Japan since the era of Park Chung-hee, and coupled with the joint hosting of the World Cup, shouldn't Dongnia and her brother give their all to cheer for the South Korean team? And while watching the World Cup live broadcast in the courtyard of the house, Donya's brother noticed Donya and her boyfriend rushing outside the door, got up and went to open the door. The three met at the entrance of the Suzuki family. Donya's older brother is a burly man with a tiger back and a bare waist. Visually, his muscles are almost breaking open the kimono. "Hello Mr. Suzuki, I am Miss Donya's boyfriend, Igawa Wanping." Igawa said politely, bowing 90 degrees before reaching out to shake hands. "Wan, this is my third brother," Donya introduced innocently. I heard it was the third brother, but Ivan's outstretched hand froze in mid-air. And Donya's third brother, Mitsuro Suzuki, looked at Ivan with burning eyes. "Hello." Mitsuro Suzuki tightly grasped Ivan's hand with his thick palm, shook it, and warmly greeted him. "Ah. Haha, hello." Ivan asked awkwardly again. "Hey. Brother, what are you carrying in your hand?" Suzuki Mitsuro looked at Ivan and asked in confusion as he lifted a few bags of grilled meat in his left hand. Ivan realized that it was impolite to come over and pack leftovers of Lee barbecue. Well. The leftovers from lunch were originally intended to be fed to pets, but now the schedule has changed and I'm ready to throw them away. After Ivan finished speaking, he was ready to throw a few plastic bags in his hand towards the distant garbage bin. The muscle memory of throwing grenades is awakening. Drop the thunder. Ivan shook his hand a few times, and several plastic bags containing leftovers were accurately thrown into the garbage bin 10 meters away. A set of movements flows smoothly and seamlessly. Oh my! Where did you come from? Look for the library www.zhaozuiyuan.com. Garbage is not sorted. A woman wearing plastic gloves who handles garbage cursed. Gone, forgot about garbage sorting. Upon seeing this, Ivan, who knew he was guilty, quickly ran to handle garbage sorting. Alas, today's outsiders are really ant roast while handling the garbage. Auntie, actually I'm from Tokyo, Ivan replied. This was the identity that the KGB had created for him back then, and Ivan had already regarded it as his own attribute. Unexpectedly, Ivan's self-proclaimed behavior as a Tokyo native angered this ant. Hey! Tokyo people! Where are your parents from? Where are your ancestors from? Nowadays, anyone dares to say they are from Tokyo. My ancestors and the Tokugawa family have passed the border, and the 5-character flag with the Tongtian pattern is right here. Have you seen it? Retirement benefits are higher than the wages of you stinky outsiders. Auntie scolded Ivan with her head down and face down. Ivan didn't want to show off his eloquence, so he bowed to his aunt repeatedly and gave a private horse race. Ivan's face was full of words, yes, you're right, which made Aunt even more unhappy. Not far away, Mitsuro Suzuki looked at an Ivan bowing repeatedly to an old lady, feeling very confused. So Mitsuro Suzuki and Dunya came forward together to check. What is this? Suzuki Donya came to inquire about Ivan's current situation. I just had some misunderstanding with my aunt, Ivan explained. Miss Suzuki, don't be so ignorant of him. As soon as Auntie saw Suzuki Donya coming over, she changed her face in Sichuan opera, showing kindness in her eyebrows and eyes. The main theme is to bully the weak and fear the hard. Donya smiled slightly and said, Auntie, he's my boyfriend. Chapter 9. Axis Cat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Auntie is dumbfounded. Auntie stared at Ivan in a daze, unable to speak for a moment. She gritted her teeth at Ivan, who was a domineering figure, and dared not show any disrespect towards the Suzuki family. After all, Auntie's son works in the Suzuki family's enterprise, and she came to the Suzuki mansion to handle the garbage herself in order to win the favor of the Suzuki family and give her son the opportunity to get a promotion and a raise. This is the end of the calf. Sorry for causing trouble to Auntie, Ivan continued to bow politely and apologize. Ivan is not interested in pretending to be forced to face someone, and he doesn't want any trouble to happen. He just wants to resolve the matter in front of him as soon as possible. However, Ivan's humble attitude made Auntie appear even more embarrassed in front of the Suzuki siblings. I'm sorry, our family has caused a lot of trouble for Auntie. Fu sang along, and Dunya also bowed and apologized. Dong Yagui, the second daughter of the Suzuki family, apologizes to an old lady. Now, Aunt's mind is blank. At this moment, my aunt's expression seemed like she had eaten shit and was about to lose her tension. For Auntie, the current situation is very critical. If I don't apologize immediately, I'm afraid my own son Shidi will be N+1. Oh my dear, let's go back. Although Suzuki Mitsuro didn't know what had happened, he was clearly a bit impatient. The World Cup was still live, so he turned around and left, pulling Dunya and Ivan. Just as Aunt was about to apologize, the three of them had already turned around and left. Leaving only Auntie to regret in the wind, wishing to slap herself wide open. The Suzuki mansion covers an area of nearly 1,000 square meters and is a typical traditional Japanese architectural style. The overall structure is made of wood, with a traditional curved roof covered with tiles and tatami mats laid indoors. The spacious courtyard is carefully designed with elegant dry mountains and rivers, as well as small bridges and flowing water. The courtyard is adorned with potted plants, bamboo, and flowers, creating a peaceful and elegant atmosphere. Judging from Brother Iga's accuracy in throwing just now, he must be a good basketball player. In the courtyard, Mitsuro Suzuki watched the live World Cup on the outdoor TV while talking to his brother-in-law Ivan. I can't say I'm a good hand, I've only practiced for 2.5 years, Ivan said humbly. It is obvious that Mitsuro Suzuki became familiar with Ivan at first sight. Whether it's Ivan's sturdy physique, his extraordinary speech, or his incredible ball skills, they all make Suzuki Mitsuro regret meeting too late. Especially with Ivan Q's bouncing energy. Brother Sanlang, what are you doing? Ivan asked cautiously and immediately made an avoidance. Hey, Brother Iga, you don't understand. This is the traditional etiquette of our Suzuki family to express friendship, explained Sanlang confidently. Well, okay. Ivan was skeptical. During the conversation, an Abyssinian cat peeked out of the living room towards the courtyard with a furry brown head, staring warily at the new Ivan. Suzuki Mitsuro saw the cat and immediately simulated the sound of rodents to attract the cat. The cat walked hesitantly, staring at Ivan and walking towards Sanlang in the center of the lawn. Suzuki Mitsuro saw the cat approaching and picked it up in his arms, then vigorously rubbed its buttocks. You see, this is the traditional etiquette of our family. Brother Iga, you can try it too, Suzuki Saburo urged. Try. Who? Everything is fine. Ivan chooses to rub the cat. Ivan rubbed the cat's buttocks skeptically, but the cat seemed to dislike Ivan's behavior and always wanted to stretch its neck and bite his hand. Brother Iga, your strength is not right. I'll teach you. Wait a moment, you can rub the cat's skin. Ivan has some research on dogs, but little understanding of cats. Because in the training of the KGB, when infiltrating someone else's house, dogs usually block outsiders, while cats tend to hide on their own. Some cats even lead the way directly to the owner's bedroom. Sir, this way. So Ivan doesn't need to understand the habits of cats. Brother Sanlang, how do you call this cat? Ivan asked out of courtesy. It's called Adolf. Nanny. Ivan was shocked. This Nima is an Axis cat. After speaking, Mitsuro Suzuki took out a fake beard prop and stuck it under the cat's nose. Not to mention, it looks quite similar Haren. Just as Ivan was amazed, Mitsuro Suzuki picked up Adolf again, raised his right paw 45 degrees forward, and made some kind of salute gesture. Chua, a fish that leaks through the net during Li Mei barbecue. Ivan cursed inwardly. Does Brother Iga also like cats? Suzuki Mitsuro asked enthusiastically when he saw Ivan just asking about the cat's name, his eyes burning as he looked at Ivan. I have a friend who likes cats, I'm average, Ivan replied. Da Vinci likes cats, but he definitely doesn't like this one. Note. As mentioned earlier, Da Vinci's grandmother was Jewish. As he spoke, the petite and adorable Adolphe broke free from Suzuki Mitsuro's embrace and began circling around Ivan. Adolphe snored and occasionally rubbed Ivan's legs with his furry head. This is a way for cats to show friendliness, explained Mitsuro Suzuki. Next, Adolphe stood up and pulled his front paws onto Ivan's pants, staring eagerly at him. This is a way for cats to beg for food from humans. Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, explained Mitsuro Suzuki. Continuing on, Adolphe hugged Ivan's calves, bit on the fabric, and continued to move his back and forth with increasing frequency. Is this? Ivan felt something was not quite right. I saw Mitsuro Suzuki staring at Adolphe with a daze in his eyes. Oh, ah. This should be incomplete castration, Suzuki Mitsuro regained consciousness and awkwardly explained. Third brother, Wan, are you? Oh my. Dong Nia, who rushed over, blushed when she saw the unbearable scene in front of her, and immediately covered her eyes. Suzuki Mitsuro saw that this little beast had dirtied his sister's eyes, and immediately slapped its furry little forehead. At ordinary times, Adolphe, who was photographed on the forehead, should raise his cat's ears, steamed cat-ear-shaped bread, narrow his eyes, and shrink his neck in fear, but now Adolphe is already on the line and has no choice but to launch. Ivan kept kicking his legs, trying to shake off Adolphe, who was holding onto his calf tightly with his paws. Don't say it, I really got rid of it. But the cat Adolphe was still unsatisfied, and then it found a crocodile sleeping in the sunshine on the nearby grass. Gollum 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 gollum. The crocodile let out comfortable moans. After a while, Adolphe stopped moving and resumed his cat's daily routine, hunting insects on the lawn, as if nothing had happened. Against the heavens. Damn it, Adolphe has stained my Lexington. Mitsuro Suzuki cursed. Suzuki Mitsuro rushed over, picked up his crocodile, and then repeatedly soaked it in the pond in the courtyard. Ivan felt that it was becoming increasingly difficult for him to integrate into the upper-class society. Duong, at this moment, the sound effect of the door opening at Suzuki's mansion sounded. Chapter 10. Can you beat Taizai Ji? Sweating soybeans. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, are you Iga Wanping? Yukiko Suzuki, the wife of the Suzuki family head, didn't ask politely about the new stranger in the family. Mrs. Suzuki Yukiko was dressed in a gorgeous pink kimono, with her black hair neatly and orderly combed, and her slightly curled hair tips made the overall hairstyle appear softer. Her eyes are deep and bright, revealing rich experiences and wisdom. Her makeup is delicate yet understated, and her light lipstick outlines the charm of a mature woman. Madame Yukiko's demeanor is calm and confident, with steady steps, indicating that she is a lady of considerable status. That's right, it's me, Ivan humbly said, bowing 90 degrees. It seems that Dongya is increasingly ignoring me and bringing her boyfriend home. Suzuki Yukiko said coldly, his indifferent eyes slanting towards Dunya on the side. Just as Dongya was preparing for a private horse race, hey, my mother speaks too much, and I often bring my boyfriend home. Suzuki Mitsuro smiled and opened his big white teeth. Upon hearing his biological son demolish his own platform, Yukiko gave Suzuki Mitsuro a fierce glare. And when Suzuki Mitsuro saw his mother's fierce expression, he was immediately frightened and closed his mouth. Igawa Wanping, according to the butler, are you a detective? Yukiko Suzuki prepared to begin a detailed inquiry into Igawa Wanping. Madam, yes. Miss Dongnia and I got to know each other through a commission, Ivan answered without a word leaking. Yukiko Suzuki looked at the information sent to her by the butler and was somewhat surprised. Yukiko was surprised that the seemingly ordinary-looking young man in front of him was actually working in a top-level team like the Yuri Clinic. It's because Yuri Clinic has opened a new detective business, which happens to be short of people. I just found a loophole, Ivan said humbly. Humph, no wonder. I said. Yukiko Suzuki continued to sarcastically, why did Yuri Clinic start coming all the way? Suzuki Yukiko looked up and down at Ivan for a while, but then prepared to continue questioning. Which university did you graduate from? Mrs. Yukiko Suzuki began to check her household registration. Keio University, Department of Literature, studied Russian literature, Ivan said respectfully. How is your Russian proficiency? Mrs. Jizi asked after her. Well, make do with it, Ivan replied. The Soviet Union has all disintegrated, is what you learned useful? Mrs. Yukiko continued to ask. Damn it, the dead 8 women are picking trouble, right? Ivan cursed inwardly. The Soviet Union still has many literary treasures worth learning and studying in future generations, Ivan explained, feeling quite proud in his heart. Che, what literature do those barbarian stinky furrows know? Can they compare to Taizai? Mrs. Ujizi sneered. Suzuki Yukiko's move is a sarcastic criticism of Ivan on the surface, but in reality, it is a sarcastic criticism of Dunya, who is a string of hairpins, and Dunya's birth mother, who is purebred. But she didn't know that Ivan was also purebred, but he looked like a purebred lieutenant. And Suzuki Donya and Suzuki Saburo understood their mother's meaning and remained silent. I can't compare, Taizai Saigao, Ivan gritted his teeth. I am barbarian. Well, right. When I was studying at the University of Tokyo, I read Human Disqualification every day, and young people should read more of it. Mrs. Kiko began to talk about her own experience. By the way, what do your parents do? Mrs. Yukiko Suzuki began checking her household registration again. I am an orphan. Ivan answered. Yukiko Suzuki began to take a new look at the young man in front of him. She has seen many orphans, but it is the first time she has seen someone like Ivan who confidently claims to be an orphan. My mother didn't mean it, Private Marseille, Iko Lautai. Suzuki apologized for his mother's offense. Dongnia also gave Wanwan a guilty look. In fact, Ivan is really an orphan, whether it's Ivan or Iga Wanping. But Ivan has a grandmother on the outskirts of Moscow. Ivan's grandmother has always been Ivan's pride. My grandmother once performed Swan Lake in front of leaders such as Su Saizong, and also fought against the German devils in the Battle of Saizong Galley. So you're from Tokyo? Yukiko Suzuki continued to ask. This question really messes up Ivan. In theory, Ivan is probably from Tokyo. It can be said that he is from Tokyo, but he is afraid of being ostracized by Tokyo people who claim to be under the authentic 5-character flag, as he did not long ago. Hey, that's not authentic. I was born and raised in Tokyo, but my ancestral home is from Gunma Prefecture, Ivan explained without a word. Gunma County, Mrs. Jizi sneered. As expected, it aligns with my consistent impression of people from Gunma County, said Mrs. Jizi sharply. Oh, mother, you can't say that. 47 prefectures and counties, 47 flowers, 47 brothers and sisters are one family. Suzuki Mitsuro played around. We are all children of Yamato, descendants of Izanami. Your words may not be conducive to unity, Suzuki Mitsuro continued to ease the awkward atmosphere. Are you teaching me how to do things? Mrs. Yukiko Suzuki glared fiercely at Mitsuro Suzuki once again. Seeing her own son repeatedly elbow out and demolish her own platform, Lady Jizi became angry. And when Suzuki Mitsuro saw his mother's terrifying gaze, he could only obediently shut up. Ding dong, just as the atmosphere inside the house was tense, a pleasant bell rang from the entrance of Suzuki Mansion. Upon hearing the bell, Mitsuru Suzuki stood up and went to the entrance to check if anyone was there. "I am Yes-han Erika. May I ask if Miss Dongnia is at home?" said the woman who claimed to be Yes-han Erika at the door. Yi Shanhua is fragrant, a cute girl wearing a T-shirt and riding a motorcycle, with a slightly childish face. Under the helmet of the motorcycle, there was a head of soft black hair. Clear eyes, bright smile, friendly and lively, looking very much like 18-year-old Juana Hashimoto. Zhaozhuyuan.com, my mother is at home. Suzuki Mitsuru lowered his voice and reminded Yoshiyama Erika outside the door. Oh. Yi Shanhua responded softly. When Suzuki Sanro said that his mother was at home, Yi Yamashiri, a girl on the motorcycle, pouted. Then she tightly grasped the handle, adjusted her sitting posture and held the front brake. Immediately after, the motorcycle engine began to roar, and Yi Shan's picturesque aroma suddenly moistened. "Who is that?" Mrs. Yukiko Suzuki asked Mitsuru Suzuki. A delivery rider sent the wrong address," Suzuki Mitsuru replied to his mother. Suzuki Sanlang can fool his mother, but can't fool Ivan. Ivan, with his KGB-level eavesdropping ability, heard every word of the conversation between Eureka Yama and Mitsuru Suzuki just now. What surprised Ivan the most was the other person's surname. Yi Shan. This is the surname of Yi Shanyanji, a senior Japanese citizen of Yi Yanka. In addition, Yoichi Yoshiyama is one of the legal advisors of the Suzuki family, and in combination with this, Yoshiyama Erika and Suzuki Dongnia have met. Perhaps there is a close relationship between Yes-han Yangi and Yes-han Walixiang. Previously, I heard from Da Vinci that Senior Yi Shanyang married and had children in Tokyo. But if one believes that Erika is the daughter of Yoichi Yes-han, judging from her voice, Erika is probably 17 or 18 years old, much older in age, unless Yi Shanyang and his senior had already secretly married and had children from the organization shortly after the KGB sent him to Tokyo, around 1985. For a moment, Ivan couldn't find the answer to the question, but the seed of suspicion had already taken root and sprouted. It seemed that he could only wait for the opportunity to ask Dongya later. Alternatively, ask Yi Shanyanji in person. Speak of the devil.